I tested 99 nights every night in New Curse Challenge, and by the end of this video I might genuinely be playing the most cursed version of 99 nights ever attempted. Here's how this works. Every single night, I have to spin a wheel, and whatever curse it lands on gets added to my run permanently. The scary part is that the curses stack, so if night 2 gives me one curse and night 3 gives me another, I have both. By the time we get deep into this challenge, I'll be dealing with multiple curses at the same time while the game itself is already getting harder. Some of these curses are annoying, some are brutal, and one of them is so unfair that if I get it too early, this entire challenge is basically over. If I survive all 99 nights, I win. If I die once, everything ends. Let's see how long I can last. Alright, night 1. Right now things look normal. But honestly, this is probably the safest I'll ever feel during this challenge. I need to gather as many resources as possible because once the curses start stacking, simple tasks are going to become way harder than they should be. I'm grabbing wood, collecting food, gathering stone, and trying to build a decent start before the will begins ruining my life. The first night actually goes pretty smoothly. No major problems, decent loot, decent progress, and now it's time for the first curse. Here we go. The wheel is spinning. Please don't be something impossible. Please don't be something impossible. And it lands on no healing items. Wait, for the entire run? Okay, that's actually scary. Every point of damage I take from now on is permanent. Suddenly the challenge just became real. One bad fight could affect me for dozens of nights. Going into the next few nights, I'm playing way more carefully than usual. Normally I take risks to get resources faster, but now every hit matters. I'm avoiding unnecessary fights, keeping my distance from enemies, and trying to play smarter than normal. So far it's working. My base is starting to come together and honestly I feel pretty confident, which usually means something terrible is about to happen. Night 5 arrives and it's time for another curse. The wheel spins again. Please be something easy, please. And it lands on inventory lock. Every 60 seconds my inventory freezes for 10 seconds. Are you kidding me? That sounds annoying now, but I know it's going to become a nightmare later. Imagine trying to switch weapons during a fight and suddenly your inventory locks. That's exactly what happens during the next attack. An enemy rushes me. I try to swap items, and my inventory freezes at the worst possible moment. I barely survive and suddenly I'm realizing how dangerous these curses become when combined. The challenge is already getting stressful and we're barely getting started. I spend the next several nights trying to build stronger defenses because I know the game is only going to get harder. The problem is that every curse changes how I play. I can't heal. My inventory can betray me at any moment. Every decision feels risky. Then night 10 arrives. Time for another spin. The wheel starts slowing down. It pauses a safe curse. It pauses another safe curse. And then it lands on double enemy speed. No, no, no. This is horrible. Faster enemies mean less reaction time and less room for mistakes. Remember, I can't heal. The next attack begins and immediately I can feel the difference. The enemies are sprinting toward my base. They're reaching me before I'm ready. They're breaking through my defenses faster than expected. I start panicking. I lose valuable resources. I nearly get cornered. Somehow I survive, but this challenge just entered a completely different level of difficulty. For the next stretch of nights, I'm basically fighting for my life. Every attack feels more dangerous than the last. Every resource run feels risky, but then something incredible happens. While exploring, I find some amazing loot that could completely change this challenge. For the first time all video, I feel like I'm ahead. I upgrade my equipment, improve my base, and start thinking maybe this challenge isn't impossible after all. Then night 15 arrives. Time for another curse. The wheel spins. It lands on no base repairs. Wait, what? So any damage my base takes now stays forever. Every broken wall, every damaged structure, everything. Suddenly all my confidence disappears. My base isn't a permanent defense anymore. It's a countdown timer. Every attack slowly destroys it and I can't fix anything. The next few nights become incredibly stressful because I can literally watch my defenses getting weaker. Night 20, another curse. Another spin. Another chance for disaster. The wheel lands on random item deleted every night. You've got to be kidding me. Every night I lose one random item. That means weapons, resources, food, anything. The first deletion isn't too bad. The second one hurts a little. Then the game deletes one of my best weapons. I just stare at the screen in disbelief. The challenge is actively taking away my progress. Every night feels like I'm losing something valuable. At this point, the curses aren't just making the game harder. They're attacking my ability to prepare for the future. The middle part of this challenge becomes pure survival. Every day I wake up wondering what new problem I'm going to have to solve. My base is damaged. My inventory locks randomly. Enemies move faster. I can't heal. Important items keep disappearing. Yet somehow I'm still alive. Then night 30 arrives and things get worse again. The wheel lands on no crafting during attacks. That's actually terrifying. If a weapon breaks during combat, I'm done. If I run out of resources, I'm done. If I forget to prepare beforehand, I'm done. The next raid immediately exposes how dangerous this curse is. One of my weapons breaks during a fight and suddenly I have to improvise. I can't craft a replacement. I can't fix the problem. I have to survive with whatever I already have. As the nights continue, the pressure keeps building. Every curse affects every future decision. That's what makes this challenge so brutal. It's not one hard modifier. It's a growing collection of problems that never go away. Night 40 arrives and I already feel overwhelmed. Then the wheel lands on resource collection cut in half. Are you serious? Gathering resources was already dangerous. Now I get half the reward. Every trip takes longer. Every upgrade takes longer. Every mistake becomes more expensive. I spend the next stretch desperately trying to stay ahead of the game's difficulty curve, but I can feel myself falling behind. Then we reach night 50. This is the moment I've been dreading. The wheel is spinning. My heart is racing. The challenge is already ridiculous. Please don't give me the worst curse. The wheel slows down. It moves past a safe option. It moves past another. And then it lands on one life remaining. No, absolutely not. From this moment forward, one mistake ends everything. There are no second chances. No recovery. No backup plan. One death, then the challenge is over. The tension immediately skyrockets. Suddenly every enemy feels dangerous. Every fight feels important. Every decision feels permanent. The next several nights are some of the most stressful gameplay I've ever experienced. I'm constantly checking my surroundings. I'm constantly thinking ahead. I'm constantly worried that one tiny mistake is going to end the entire challenge. Then night 60 arrives. And honestly, I thought the challenge was over. I thought I could finally relax. But after looking back at everything that happened during this run, I realized there were so many moments where this challenge should have ended. In fact, there are several things that happened behind the scenes that you guys haven't even seen yet. The craziest part is that some of the closest calls of the entire challenge weren't actually during the final nights. They happened much earlier, when I didn't even realize how dangerous my situation was becoming. Looking back now, I think the first major mistake happened right after I got the no healing curse. At the time it didn't seem that bad. I remember telling myself that I would just play carefully and avoid taking damage. But the problem with challenges like this is that they slowly trick you into becoming overconfident. A few successful nights pass and suddenly you start thinking you're in control. That's exactly what happened to me. I got comfortable. I started taking fights that I probably should have avoided. I started making riskier decisions because things were going well. What I didn't realize was that every single point of damage I took early on would eventually matter later. By the time I reached the middle of the challenge, I was paying for mistakes that happened dozens of nights earlier. Another moment that almost ended the run happened when the inventory lock curse activated during combat. Most people watching probably thought that moment looked annoying. What you didn't see was how panicked I actually was. Imagine seeing enemies rushing toward you while your weapon isn't equipped and your inventory refuses to open properly. There's nothing you can do except wait and hope. Those few seconds felt like an eternity. I remember genuinely thinking the challenge was over right there. If the enemies had reached me just a little bit faster, this video would have had a completely different ending. Then there was the double enemy speed curse. I still think that's one of the worst curses in the entire challenge. Faster enemies completely change the rhythm of the game. Suddenly routes that were safe become dangerous. Distances that felt comfortable become risky. Timing that normally works perfectly suddenly falls apart. There were several moments where I instinctively reacted the way I would in a normal run, only to realize the enemies were already much closer than expected. The curse forced me to completely rethink how I approached every encounter. One thing that surprised me was how difficult it became to manage resources once the curses started stacking together. Individually, most of the curses seemed manageable. That's the trick. Each curse on its own doesn't look impossible. The problem is that they all combine into one giant disaster. Half resource collection doesn't sound terrible until you're also losing random items every night. No base repairs doesn't sound impossible until enemies are moving twice as fast. One life remaining becomes terrifying when all of those other problems already exist. The challenge wasn't hard because of one specific curse. It was hard because every curse amplified every other curse. I think night 50 completely changed the way I played. The second I got the one life curse, everything became different. Before that point, I was still willing to take calculated risks. After night 50, every decision felt like a potential game-ending mistake. I started questioning everything. Should I go gather more resources? What if there's an enemy waiting? Should I fight this wave aggressively? What if I get trapped? Should I explore this area? What if I can't escape? Suddenly every action had consequences. I wasn't playing to win anymore. I was playing not to lose. The boss enemy curse was another nightmare. The first time it happened, I honestly underestimated it. I saw the larger enemy and thought it would just take a little longer to defeat. Then I realized how much stronger it actually was. The amount of pressure one powerful enemy can create is incredible. While you're focused on dealing with the boss, normal enemies continue attacking. Your resources continue disappearing. Your defenses continue taking damage. The entire battlefield becomes chaotic. Several of the most intense moments in the challenge came directly from those boss encounters. Something else I learned during this challenge is how important mental endurance is. Most people think difficult challenges are only about skill. Skill definitely matters, but concentration matters too. By the time I reached the later nights, I had already spent so long dealing with non-stop pressure that I could feel myself becoming mentally exhausted. Every night required focus. Every fight required planning. Every decision required attention. The longer the challenge continued, the harder it became to maintain that level of concentration. That's something viewers don't always notice. The challenge isn't just happening to your character, it's happening to you as a player. One of the weirdest parts of the run was how quickly my goals changed over time. At the beginning, I wanted to build the strongest base possible. Then I wanted to survive until night 50. Then I wanted to survive until night 75. Then I wanted to reach night 90. Eventually my goal became much simpler. Just survive the next night. That's it. The challenge slowly stripped away every long-term plan and replaced it with immediate survival. When things become difficult enough, your entire mindset changes. The final 10 nights were especially intense because I knew how close I was. Reaching night 90 created a strange feeling. On one hand, I was proud of how far I had come. On the other hand, I knew that failing at night 98 would feel exactly the same as failing at night 10. The challenge wouldn't care how much progress I made. A single mistake could still erase everything. That pressure followed me through every remaining night. There were also several moments where luck played a huge role. I don't think enough people talk about that. Skill helped me survive, but luck definitely helped too. Certain item deletions could have been much worse. Certain enemy spawns could have happened at worse times. Certain will spins could have landed on even more brutal curses. Sometimes surviving a challenge like this requires a combination of preparation, decision-making, adaptability, and a little bit of luck. I was fortunate enough to have all four when I needed them most. If I ever attempt this challenge again, there are definitely things I would do differently. First, I would prioritize long-term sustainability much earlier. Second, I would avoid unnecessary risks completely. Third, I would prepare for future curses before they actually appear. One mistake many players make is solving today's problem instead of tomorrow's problem. This challenge punished that mindset constantly. The players who succeed are the players who think several nights ahead. What's funny is that before starting this challenge, I genuinely believed the hardest part would be surviving enemy attacks. Looking back now, I think the hardest part was adapting. Every time I got comfortable, the challenge forced me to change. Every time I developed a strategy, a new curse disrupted it. Every time I thought I understood the situation, another problem appeared. Adaptability ended up being more important than combat, more important than building, and more important than resource gathering. By the end of the run, the game felt completely different from the version I started with. It wasn't normal 99 nights anymore. It was a constantly evolving survival nightmare where every system worked against me. The curses changed how I gathered resources. They changed how I fought enemies. They changed how I defended my base. They changed how I thought about risk. That's what made the challenge memorable. It wasn't just difficult. It transformed the entire experience. And now I'm curious. After watching everything that happened, I want you to think about this question. Which curse do you think was actually the most dangerous? Was it the one life curse? The double enemy speed curse? The random item deletion curse? The no healing curse? Honestly, I don't even know my own answer. There are strong arguments for all of them. Let me know what you think because I'm genuinely interested to see which curse you would fear the most. As crazy as this challenge was, I already have ideas for making it even harder. Imagine combining every night a new curse with a punishment wheel. Imagine adding random challenges every 5 nights. Imagine letting viewers decide new curses during the run. The possibilities are honestly terrifying. And knowing myself, there's a very good chance I'll eventually try something even more ridiculous. For now, though, I'm just happy this challenge is over. 99 nights, countless close calls, stacked curses, constant pressure, and somehow, against all odds, survival. If you've watched all the way to this point, you're officially one of the real ones because this was easily one of the most intense challenges I've ever attempted. Thank you for sticking around until the end, and trust me, The next challenge is going to be even crazier.